Good afternoon, everyone, and welcome. I'm Isaac, and today I will be discussing how to effectively manage grievances and workplace conflict using our new policies and procedures. By the end of this session, we'll all have a better understanding of the steps we can take to address issues before they escalate. Thanks for being here. So, first we'll start with the introduction. So, today we'll be focusing on the new grievance staff complaints and conflict resolutions policy. It's essential that we understand how to manage workplace conflict effectively. I'll walk you through the new grievance procedure and techniques for resolving conflicts, and I'll also touch on how HR will support the process and how we must address legal requirements.
It's great that we're formalising the process, but I do think we'll need some examples to help everyone understand how this works in practice.
Absolutely, Alice. We'll include some case studies and examples later in the session to make everything clearer. Okay. Workplace conflict arises when two or more individuals or groups have different goals, values, or interests and that leads to tension. Common causes of conflict include miscommunication, personality clashes, and competition for resources. Identifying these conflicts early is essential to preventing bigger issues down the line.
Would you say personality clashes are one of the most common causes? I've seen situations where people just don't get along, and it's hard to address that without it feeling personal.
Great point, Harry. Personality clashes do tend to come up a lot. That's why we emphasize neutrality and respect in conflict resolution to avoid it becoming personal and to focus on the issue at hand. Pardon me. Okay, so slide 4. The goal of the new policy is to ensure that grievances are handled in a transparent, fair, and confidential manner. Employees have clear steps to follow when filing grievances, and managers like Alice play a big role in how these issues are handled. Confidentiality is key, and it's important that all parties feel safe and heard during the process.
Can you elaborate on the confidentiality aspect? As a manager, I'm concerned about how much detail I can share with other team members or HR during this process.
Great question, Alice. Confidentiality means that details of the grievance, including the names of the parties involved and the nature of the issue, will only be shared with those who absolutely need to know. This includes HR and anyone directly involved in the resolution process. Will ensure that everything is kept as private as possible to protect all parties. Okay. Skills and knowledge needed for managing grievances. Effective grievance management requires certain skills such as active listening, empathy, and clear communication. Managers should approach every grievance objectively, ensuring that the investigation is fair and that all parties are treated with respect.
I agree with those points. However, sometimes it can be difficult to remain neutral when we're personally close to a situation or have our own opinion about the issue. Do you have any advice on how to manage that?
Absolutely, Alice. That's where having a process in place like the one we're outlining today helps. It gives you a structured way to approach each case without letting your own emotions cloud your judgment. HR is always available to step in if you feel too close to a situation to remain objective. Slide 6. Grievance and conflict procedures. The grievance procedure starts when an employee reports an issue either to HR or their manager. Once reported, the grievance is investigated and a resolution is pursued through mediation or other methods. Follow-up is Following up is essential to ensure that the issue is fully resolved and that no lingering issues remain.
Do we know how long this process typically takes? Sometimes issues can drag on and it's tough when you don't know what to expect.
Great question, Harry. We aim to resolve grievances as quickly as possible, but it can vary depending on the complexity of the issue. However, we set guidelines to ensure that investigations are completed within a reasonable time frame, and you'll always be kept informed throughout the process. Okay, so next we'll move on to conflict management techniques. So, there are three main techniques for managing conflict. Avoidance, temporarily avoiding the issue to let emotions cool. 2, accommodation. One party gives in to the other to maintain harmony. And 3, collaboration. Both parties work together to find a solution that satisfies everyone. All up, these techniques are applied based on the situation and the people involved.
I think collaboration is ideal, but in some cases, one person just wants to avoid the issue altogether. Do you have advice for encouraging people to engage rather than avoid?
Certainly. Encouraging open communication early on is key. If people feel like they're part of the solution, they're more likely to engage. Sometimes simply creating a safe space for open dialogue can resolve things before they escalate. Moving on to negotiation strategies. Negotiation strategies help resolve conflict by finding common ground. Some common strategies are win-win negotiation. Both parties get something positive from the outcome.